Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. This is Nitha Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 1058. We are live with the special guest tonight, but before I announce his name, fans, please tune in on all the Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all the podcast platforms. We are live on all those platforms right now. And fans, everybody knows about our Spreaker app where you can join in and ask questions to today's guest. And tonight's guest, we have a special one. His name is Brian Mitchell. He's a former NFL running back. He won a Super Bowl with the Washington football team now, Washington Commanders. But back in the day, it was the Redskins, but a Super Bowl champion. And thank you for joining the show, Brian, man. Well, what a great career, obviously in college too, in NFL. You went to the University of Louisiana, Lafayette. You hold the NCAA record for most rushing touchdowns as a quarterback, which we'll get to. And obviously, your resume speaks for itself. And after your career, you're doing big things off the field, helping in the community, motivational speaking. And now you're a pre and post game host with Washington on the 106.7 The Fan. So everyone go check that out. But Brian, thank you for joining the show. Super Bowl champion. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, man. How you feeling?
Good. Ready for this interview. I can't wait, man. Like I said, your resume speaks for itself. And I have a lot of friends who are Washington fans, and they're excited about this show tonight. And but Brian, I just want to say, what got you started in the game of football, and especially you play two positions, quarterback and running back too?
Well, I was the youngest of 7 kids. I have 4 brothers, 2 sisters. And I guess when you watch your big brothers playing football, you want to do it. On my street, everybody was related with one way in, one way out. We had about, 30 houses. And, I was one of the younger kids, but always wanted to hang with the older kids. And when I got to school and we started playing organized football, 6th, 7th grade, I liked it, and my mom and dad would always talk about, we weren't the rich people. So I talked about, they talked about getting scholarships. And, in my mind, I can probably get one as a football player or academics because I believed in doing both. And as it went on, playing football was that equalizer for me. The big guys were no faster, they were no stronger. And when I got on the field, I was good at it, and it did give me a scholarship to go to college. And I guess I just fell in love with it. I love the competitiveness.
Wow. Yeah, so tell our fans, obviously in college you were a quarterback and all before obviously being a running back. Take us to that, the success, you had so much success as a quarterback. Did you ever think to yourself maybe you could have stuck with that position, or what made you change to quarterback to running back?
Well, I guess I was born a little too soon before they started giving people my height a chance to truly play in the NFL. I was a quarterback from 8th grade all the way through college. And I can remember, like today, I had a guy ask me questions about why do they let these quarterbacks, audible in the league? Well, I called my plays from the line of scrimmage in the 10th, 11th grade. So if I was able to do it in high school, I'm sure these guys in the pros who are getting paid all these millions should be able to do it. But I just loved it playing football, and the whole thing about it is I used to describe myself to people as a football player. And they say, but you play quarterback. I said, no, I'm a football player. You put the ball in my hand at any position, put me on defense, I'm tackling them too. And I just felt having that mindset helped me out tremendously. But I credit playing quarterback 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. That's 5 years plus the 4 years of college. It helped me out in the pros because when I got here, I was able to understand all the concepts of the return game, all the concepts of the offense and things of that nature, and understand how to break down defense. So it helped me out tremendously.
Yeah, so speaking of, obviously in this generation, teams love players where they can play multiple positions and help on special teams. And you were a specialist too, a running specialist throughout your career. And how important was that for you in your career to have that ability to help a team to do multiple things at once?
Well, I guess when I got here, being a guy who had played quarterback so long, we get a little spoiled at the quarterback position where we feel we're supposed to always be a quarterback and nobody's supposed to touch us. And when I got here, I was told immediately by the special teams coach, the only way I would make the team is being a return guy. And I grew up thinking that those guys were crazy, looking in the sky, catching the ball while somebody's coming down to knock their heads off. I never returned kicks or punts in high school, college, little league football, none of that. Yeah. I got to the NFL is when I started doing it. And then having success, my first return, I ran for a touchdown. And I remember Coach Gibbs saying, the more you can do, the longer you can play. So if I've been describing myself as a football player, why would I now try to limit myself? So I always wanted to do as much as I can to be on the field. I didn't care that I was going down on kickoff coverage, going down on punt coverage. Punt coverage gave me a chance to use my quarterbacking skills, my running backing skills. We could run fake punts and going down. I was probably one of the guys in the history of the NFL who had the opportunity to set records as a return guy and then help myself by tackling the guys that were trying to catch my record. So it was a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, so we are live with former NFL running back, Super Bowl champion Brian Mitchell from Washington football team, Washington Redskins back in the day. And we already have a fan question for you that just popped in our app. And one of our fans, yeah, he's a big Saints fan, and he wants to know about taste. Like, he wants to know what do you like about today's NFL from when you played, and he wants to know about what are your thoughts on Taysom Hill and his ability to do multiple things?
What I like most about today's NFL is the amount of money that they make, to be honest with you. I hate saying it, I don't really like today's NFL. They've taken a lot of the aggression and a lot of the, there's a certain level of intimidation that goes on in the pro football, and they've taken a lot of that stuff out. I think we want to correct a lot of the things. It's always been a penalty to lead with the crown of your helmet. If the league had always called it, they would have shut a lot of it out. Yeah. If they had made the rules so strict to where you spear, you out, you're going to miss a lot of money, guys will stop doing it. Today, they're taking plays, the kick return, out of the damn game. It's one of the most exciting plays out there. Who didn't want to see me return a punt or Devin Hester return a punt? A kickoff. So now these guys can't really get it done. So you take all that out of it while concussions are steadily going up, which tells you this is a rough sport, okay? And the thing of it, Taysom Hill, I love watching Taysom Hill play. I love the fact that a guy like a Kyler Murray gets an opportunity to play in this league. Yeah. Cordero Patterson, all the things that he's doing. I did those things back in the day, and there's nothing Cordero Patterson has done on the field today that I wasn't doing back then. But now you get a lot more of the luster. So I would say I love the money that the players make and the fact that they have this social media. Imagine having social media in my day. Then I think a lot of these young people who don't understand that there was somebody before Devin. There was somebody before a lot of these other guys out there. You don't know who the hell we are.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell our fans, obviously you play with three teams in the NFC East, Giants, Eagles, and Washington. Tell our fans about that. What was that like and competing against sorry to tell you, I'm a Cowboy fan, but what was it like?
I did not like the Cowboys, I can tell you that.
What was it like competing in that division? And obviously this division is back to being the NFC East. So what was your your experience like?
Growing up in Louisiana, you either cheer for the Cowboys or the Saints. And then, I was always a big football player. I love the tough, the rivalries and things like that. Doug Williams has been a family friend for a long time. He was friends with my uncle. Doug comes to Washington, I start liking Washington. Dallas had gotten rid of Tom Landry and all that stuff, so I now despise the Cowboys because I thought Tom Landry was one of the coolest and best coaches ever. If you really go check his history and check out how this man was, I think a lot of Cowboys fans don't know. He was the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, and the damn special teams coordinator. So that's a special guy. So when that happened, now Doug comes to Washington, I start cheering for Washington.
Yeah.
Then I go to college and I'm playing quarterback, and my coach, Brad Wilson, who's our offensive coordinator, he said, man, if you get drafted, you get to a team like Washington, they go to the playoffs or to the Super Bowl every 5 years. Well, they went in 87, and then I get here in 1990, 1991, that season, we make it. 92, we're playing in the Super Bowl. Now I'm thinking we'll be back in 97, we'll be back in 2002, but Coach Gibbs retired and all. But playing in that division was tough. And the thing about it, if you won your division or was somewhere good in your division, you knew you had the opportunity to go all the way and possibly end up in the Super Bowl. I think right now you look at them where the team that has the most amount of losses is Washington with 5, but they're sitting at 7-5-1. The Giants 7-4-1. The Cowboys last night with an impressive win, 9-3. The Eagles sitting at 11-1. That is the way it was. We call it the black and blue division, where you got through that division, nobody else wanted to see you. Because when we went to the Super Bowl against Buffalo, they did a lot of yapping.
Yeah.
But we tapped that ass when we got to them, and they couldn't hang with us. And that's just, we knew we were battle tested because the NFC East, like you said, it's called the Beast of the East, and it was the toughest division out there. And I love playing with it because every week you had an opportunity. Reggie White, Lawrence Taylor. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're going up to Dallas and you're dealing with that offensive line that they had. Larry Allen, they're coming around and doing the things he was doing. You had Emmitt Smith and Michael Irvin and all those guys. We knew every week you're going against the best of the best. So you got to the playoffs, you wasn't worried about anybody that was not in that division.
Speaking of Emmitt Smith, were you guys trash talking to each other, like for fun?
Emmitt was playing against the defense, and I was more or less against the offense. But I talk trash with everybody. Listen to me. I've said for a long time, and that's another part. They've taken a little bit of the trash talking out the game. Listen, man, this is not Little League. This is not high school. It's not even college. College, I think, once you get to college, you could go to a fight in a war. Why can't you talk a little trash? Because once you're over 18 years old, now this is something that should become business and serious to you. So I never called it trash talking per se. I called it smart talking. If I could say something to you and get you out of thinking about what you're supposed to do on the football field, that's an advantage to me. Why should the league regulate that? If you are that mentally weak on the football field, you probably should not be out there. Because I think when I hit you hard, if I hit you hard legally, it shouldn't be a flag. That's why I despise a lot of these commentators today. Soon as somebody get hit, oh, Lord, that should be a penalty. No, if it's not illegal, he just got hit hard. Let him get up and get back for another.
Oh, yeah, so we have another fan question for you. One of our fans wants to know some of your best moments back in college in Louisiana, Lafayette. Obviously, you have the NCAA record for most touchdowns as a quarterback. So they want to know, what does that mean to you and some of your other best moments there in college?
Well, I think any of the records that I may have set, it's not about me. It's about, listening to my mom and dad about having a great work ethic and going out there and doing everything I possibly can, but also working in tune with the guys that I played with. Listen, I got a lot of accolades in college, high school, in the pros, but I was one guy running with 10 guys blocking for me. Yeah. So I have to say a lot of those guys did all the stuff, the records, running all the touchdowns in college, being the first guy to have over 5,000 yards passing and 3,000 yards rushing. That wasn't just because of me. It's because of coaches that believed in me and put me in the right position. Now, I had to go out there and do the work. But I thank them for helping me getting to the pros and changing positions, okay? Not wanting to be a kick returner, to be honest with you. And the Canadian Football League offered me a guaranteed contract, Saskatchewan Roughriders, to go there. Yeah. And I basically told them, I said, if I get drafted on the first day, I'm trying the NFL. If things don't work, I'm coming to Canada. But the first time I touch a ball, I run a touchdown. So at that point, I feel this is my calling. And to say I've never done it, get to the NFL, start doing it. And when I retire, I set the touchdown record, set the yardage record in the NFL for the most combined yardage and stuff like that. It says a lot about, God giving me a gift. And I say this to people all the time. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I'm very spiritual. And I tell them, I say, God gave me a talent. And my thank you to God is basically to go out there and take that talent as far as I possibly can. And I think I did a good job of that. So I gave God many, many thank yous. And hopefully he saw it.
Well, you made the right choice because you're a Super Bowl champion at the end of the day. So there you go.
Oh, yeah. Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowler. I did a few things, man. Did a few things. Got some numbers retired too along the way. Cool.
I'm just curious. Tell our fans about, obviously the position changed, but how hesitant were you at first about changing the position?
Well, I kind of always felt that being 5'10" and a half, I wasn't going to get the opportunity to play quarterback in the NFL level. But I ran 4.4 flat, 4.3, 4.38, 4.4 flat. I think I was probably as strong as any quarterback to ever come out of college. I built my body to be a running back. Okay, I could throw the football with the best of them. But when I was in college, I was a guy power cleaning over 315, 345 pounds. I was a guy putting 600 pounds on the border squat. I benched over 400 pounds as a 198-pound quarterback. So I wasn't really necessarily if I went to Canada, I play quarterback. But my dream had never been to play in Canada. My dream was to play in the NFL. So when they told me where I was going to play, all I did at that point was just like when you have a exam in college, you start to study, you start to research and figure out things to make sure you give yourself the best opportunity of succeeding. And I did that. And after playing 14 years in the league and doing the things I've done and living and experiencing the stuff I experienced, I would say that I made the right choice. It's like, right now you hear big talk about Deion Sanders and HBCUs and going to other colleges, things like that. Listen to me. You don't have to go to any particular college to become somebody great. Whatever damn college you go to, you have to utilize everything that they give you and make sure you put in every bit of work that you can, and you can get there. I was at Southwestern Louisiana. The school is now called Louisiana Lafayette. Southwestern Louisiana, they found me there. They'll find you wherever you are if you're a talented person.
Yes, so speaking of HBCU school, obviously, I don't know if you saw Deion Sanders' press conference the other day with Colorado. He put in a good way. He said coaches get elevated or terminated. So speaking of HBCU, talk about being teammates with Doug Williams. He came from an HBCU school and obviously a lot of history, and what a great player he was. And it was like being his teammate and seeing the growth.
Well, I didn't get a chance to play with Doug. Doug was before me, but the whole thing about it is I played in the league with a lot of guys from HBCUs, and they used to always tell me about, man, it's a different experience. I grew up 15 minutes from Southern University. I basically grew up on that campus. From 14 years old on, I was trying to build a campus. I was in Upward Bound. I went there. I had the experience. I wanted to go to Southern University. It was my dream, okay? And here come recruiting. So they start recruiting you. When 9th grade, you start getting letters, all right? 11th grade, they really start come visiting you. All of a sudden, now you're in the 12th, you're about to make your decision. The first time I heard from Southern was the week of the signing day. So I didn't go. I went to the school, Southwestern Louisiana, who had been talking to me as an academic dude. I had a chemical engineering scholarship already offered to me. And then they came and they offered me a scholarship in football. So this is somebody that was offering me something as a student prior to being an athlete. So I went there. And I still was able to go to Southern and hang out with some of my friends and experience it. But this is the school that showed me something. If I had gone to Southern, what is that saying? I waited for a team that showed up at the last minute to try and get me. No, this is the people who've been showing me that love the whole time. And let's be real. There's not enough colleges around just for all of us to go to one. So you have to understand, like Deion say, I forgot the exact way he put it. He say, is not his calling is not for a particular, I think, location. It's a destination. Okay. And I think that's the whole thing, where no matter where you are, you can still affect the people you want to affect. And you lead by example. People are still going to see what he's doing. I follow him. I look at all the things that he's saying. He's one of the most motivating person I've ever seen in my life. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at some other people, some former athletes saying, he had them wanting to run through walls just listening to him talk. So a lot of people are mad at him and knocking him for things. Yeah. Everybody in this life is put in a position to try to get to the pinnacle of where you want to go. And sometimes it ain't going to make other people happy. But as I said earlier, God gave you this calling, not anybody else. So to hell with what they think. Go on and do your thing, brother, and keep motivating people.
Yeah. Well said there. And we have another fan question for you. They want to know why you're not in the Hall of Fame yet, because you have some NFL records that should be noticed a lot more. And one of our fans wants to know why you're not in the Hall of Fame. We need to get you in the Hall of Fame, they said.
If I knew, I'll be there. I just say this. I don't think the voters give a lot of special teams to give us enough credit. Right now, you have Jan Stenerud, you have Morton Anderson, you have Ray Guy.
Yeah.
I believe I should be. I believe Steve Tasker should be. Yeah. I think people could not block Steve Tasker. And you walk up, you'll think he's an accountant, but that guy was dominant on the field. Billy White Shoes Johnson, he shouldn't be in there. Devin Hester right now should have been in the first ballot last year. I believe that. Mm-hmm. So I feel that, don't tell me it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame when you basically acknowledge quarterbacks, wide receivers, occasionally running backs, defensive ends that rush the passer, and then they force you to put the offensive lineman in. Every position should be represented. And I refuse to believe that after 100 and some years of football, no return guy has been good enough to be in the Hall of Fame. When I retired from football, I had more yards than Jerry Rice.
Yeah.
I returned most touchdowns than anybody that ever did it. So don't sit and tell me that we're not impactful, because I recall playing against John Gruden and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They kick off the first one, I go 75. They never kicked the ball to me again. He said they were concerned about me. So if coaches are concerned about the guy returning the kicks, why aren't the people that are making the votes concerned as well? They got to go do their homework, and some of them need to get out of their own town and go look at what's happening around the whole NFL, around the country, instead of just in your town.
Yeah, we got to get you in the Hall of Fame, Brian. That's your goal, because, like I said, you put some great numbers, and one of our fans mentioned you have some NFL records that should be mentioned more, in their opinion, and everyone's opinion. But let's get to the big game where you guys won the Super Bowl against the Buffalo Bills, 37-24. Your quarterback that time was Mark Rivkin. He won the MVP that year, and you guys, the attendance was over 63,000, man. So take us back to that Super Bowl.
That was that's what it's all about. Now I can remember telling people, like, when you're watching the Super Bowl on TV and all you see is the flashes, the camera flashes. Now they just stay steady because everybody got a camera phone up. So back I remember coming down the hallway and I was hyped. But all week of practice, the Buffalo Bills were yapping and we were getting physical. And one day Coach Gibbs had to stop practice, okay? Because Mark Ripken got rolled up on. He said, if we don't slow it down, we're not gonna have enough people to play. Wow. And it's like we couldn't wait to get to him. But walking down the tunnel and then finally getting to come out the tunnel and look up, he got flashes. I don't remember the first 4 minutes of the game. Well, I didn't. Now I know because I've seen film. I didn't know they had kicked the ball off twice for like 4 or 5 years. They kicked it off. They weren't ready, so they had to stop it. And then, because the referees weren't ready for the time, then they had the Buffalo Bills kick it off again. What if they had kicked it off and I ran a touchdown and say, nah, we're not ready? They'd had a problem that game. But I did not remember because it was like the one dream I've had my whole life, and finally I'm living it. And I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. It overwhelmed me. When I came to, I was ready to rock then. So I knew from watching the Super Bowl all the years where the cameras went at certain times, got a lot of FaceTime, brother.
Yeah, so obviously you guys got your goal, which was winning a championship. It's always hard to win a championship in any sport. But for you guys, once you completed that goal, got your Super Bowl rings, obviously beat a great team in the Buffalo Bills, and you guys obviously were a great team too. And what was it like, the feeling like once you won the Super Bowl and coming together and celebrating with Coach Joe Gibbs?
Well, I mean, I can remember vividly Monty Coleman, who was like probably the elder statesman on our team. And Monty basically every week he had like a word to say. And he kept saying, listen, man, sacrifice. Take care of your teammates. Take care of yourself. He said, if we can get there and win it, we started off 11-0 before we lost our first game. Then we ended up winning the next 3. And in the last game, Coach Gibbs basically treated it like it was a preseason game. We lose to Philadelphia. We're 14-2. Then we go into the playoffs, and we had beaten, I think, Detroit 45-0 prior. Now they have Barry Sanders. We beat them 41-10. So we knew we were a special team. And his whole message was the whole time was sacrifice what you need to now, because if you win this, you will live this the rest of your life. And that was in 1992. It is 2022 now.
Yeah.
I still get free drinks and free food and get let into places based off of that Super Bowl. Wow. So if anybody can get any message to any player that's going now and trying to get there, don't let somebody else come along and make you do something stupid to where you don't live that life. You don't have a chance to experience something like that. If your team is the best, all these guys on the Eagles now, how are they playing? Sacrifice. Understand that it's about winning. And if you go out there and win a Super Bowl, believe me, it is not something that lasts just that time. It lasts forever.
Here's $1 million question. Where do you keep your Super Bowl ring?
Upstairs. It's in my jewelry case. I would have normally thrown it on, but I looked up. I was like cooking some food for my daughter. And I looked up and I said, oh, I got to get it because I didn't want to be late. So I ran downstairs, but it's upstairs.
Yeah, so we have another fan question for you. He's a big Washington fan. He wants to know about running back Brian Robinson and what are your thoughts on him? And he has an amazing story. What an
Yeah.
inspiration. So he wants to know what are your thoughts on him so far?
Brian Robinson is special. I'll just say that. Everyone want to say he's lucky. I got to go. He's blessed. When a bullet goes through your knee and don't have any structural damage, that says a lot. Somebody was watching over you. The other bullet went through I think in his buttocks or some area around his back. That didn't affect anything else either. But a lot of people, in this town, we keep talking about for him coming back. And I say there's different levels of trauma, okay? When we hear someone is shot, that's traumatic to every one of us. Mm-hmm. But if you hear a guy has surgery, you don't think that's traumatic. But when a guy has surgery, it's probably more traumatic than that bullet just went straight through. They cut you, they open you up to try to make sure they fix whatever's there. That's some trauma too. Yeah. But I think Brian's drive to get back on the football field is where I began to see that this dude right here, special. Yeah. It was a week or two later, he was already starting to work out. Yeah. Okay. And he had a drive, and I think that drive right there is what he's always had. He was at Alabama 5 years. He sat behind a lot of guys. When he finally got his chance, you were like, well, damn, why didn't they play him? You watch it when he gets hit, he rarely goes down but one guy. Many times the play is over, it's 3 or 4 guys, he's still standing up. They just blow the whistle, he don't go down. I love the way that he can run the football, but then again, he has soft hands. It's just that some guys come along where you can see that they've worked on everything. Terry McLaurin, another guy on the team, is very similar to him. And when I watch him, I'm amazed and I smile because too many guys have a lot of talent and they never live up to it. And there are guys who work hard as they can to get to that level where some of these guys are, and they never stop working. And I look at Brian just like that. So, if you got a fan club, hell, I'm probably the president of his fan club, but I love to watch him play.
Yeah, I mean, not only Brian Robinson, you guys have other talented running backs like Antonio Gibson and other running backs. But let's talk about off the field. Obviously, after your career, you're doing amazing things, and obviously working with the team now as a pre and post game host. So what's it like connecting with these players, these young players that Washington has, and not only Washington players but other players, and giving back to the community, sharing your stories when you were playing?
Well, like I said, just about all the success on the football field didn't happen by myself, and all my success off the field and things I've done were because people took the time. Ernest Biner is one of those guys. Darryl Green was another guy. While I played, Brian Dawkins in Philadelphia. While I played the game, guys that was instilling stuff in me. Tim Johnson, who's a preacher now down in Orlando. Troy Vincent, is like a assistant commissioner of the NFL. These guys taught you stuff, and it was instilling stuff in me. It was bigger than just the game of football. And guys always talk to me about things. So instill, it's a commercial on TV where you see somebody help somebody and the person see them. Then later on, they show that person helping somebody else, and vice versa. It just goes. I felt that's what I was supposed to do. Ernest Bynum was the guy who took me in. I began to help a lot of guys. James Thrash came along and different people like that. And I think even now, right, like a lot of players, they think they know everything. They don't. And I'm not going to just force feed you information, but the moment I can make some contact with them, I'll let them know. Anything you want to know, anything you need to know, give me a call. Like right now on the Washington Commanders, Percy Butler grew up in my hometown, went to my college, and now he's drafted by the team I played for. Why wouldn't I have him over and talk to him about different things? Because I think when you are given opportunities, you're supposed to try to help somebody be able to reach theirs too. And I try to do that as much as I can. But the TV thing, the way I got into that, I was listening to TV one day. Was it radio? And the dude talking was like what he wouldn't and would do. And I'm thinking to myself, like, most athletes would do that. So I did some research, and the guy had never played the game. Now, you don't have to play the game to know the game, but certain comments you make, you need to damn well have gone through it to say what you wouldn't do and why you wouldn't do it. And I started pursuing a job in this industry to be able to have a voice. And I think anybody that looks out there, you want to have a voice in the people that are talking about what you do. especially if they haven't done it in a sense. So I ended up getting the WHUR. They offered me a little radio show on Mondays and Fridays. On Friday, I'll say what we plan to do. Monday, I'll talk about did we do it or not. 5 weeks later, I was doing work with the actual station that I'm with today, where I was doing a Monday Night Football show. Then I started doing TV a year after that, and here I am out of the game of football now for Lord, 19 years now, and I've been doing radio and TV since 1991. So it's something I wanted to do. I did it while I played ball because I just felt like I wanted to have a voice. And one thing about me, I'm not afraid to speak my opinions. I'm not scared of the person that they say something. Hey, let's see who's right. And that's the thing about it, where a lot of times players are afraid to stand up for themselves because we're taught so many times where we got to always make the proper thing, or we got to be the better man. No, sometimes when you're wrong, and a player should be able to say it.
We have another fan question for you. Someone wants to know, from a scale to 1 to 10, how weird was it playing against your former team, Washington, the team that drafted you, the team you won the championship with?
Well, it wasn't very weird. It was when I went to the stadium the first time in Washington, since I've been going in and out of that locker room so much, I went to the wrong locker room. That was the strangest thing. But when you're a competitor, and this is business, and I think that's what I don't think a lot of fans understand that. Just like if you're working for Pepsi or McDonald's and they let you go, you tell me you wouldn't go work for Coca-Cola or you wouldn't go work for Burger King. So once they let you go, they cut me. After 10 years of giving this team everything I had, they cut me. Wow. So I'm a little revengeful. I basically had like 7 trips planned. Went and saw the Eagles the first week, and I told my agent cancel the rest of the trips. I liked it, and it gave me a chance to see Washington twice. Then when I left Philly, I went to New York. It's just, it kept me on the East Coast. I wanted to stay on the East Coast. But once you understand, like, it's business, you get past the sport, per se. You have fun. But I think most of my work was done in the off season. And then once the season starts, it's about going out there and handling your business. And I tell everyone, you're loyal to the person whose name you see on your check.
Did you ever speak to the Dallas Cowboys in your career? Like about signing a contract or?
When my last year, I did, my agent did contact them at one point, but I was like, at that point I said, if I didn't get a phone call by week 8, I was done. And that was the year I was waiting, and nobody called me then, and he had called me and said he had I heard from Dallas, and I'm like, nah, that's okay. Because it's like I feel like once you start thinking retirement, go on and retire, because once you think it's there. And I didn't want to get in a situation where, I was just chasing a dream, because my last year in New York, when you slow down, you slow down. And I always tell people, baseball, you can slow down. Basketball, you can slow down and still have a little. Football and hockey, you slow down, you end up in the hospital or walking around crippled the rest of your life. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, so let's get to your book. Everybody should check out your book. It's called The Champion's Heart. Everyone go check that out. And what are your thoughts on this book, and what's it like to have this as another platform?
Well, it was a situation where my friend of mine's sister, where I would have conversations with her, and I like motivational stuff, and I would say different things, and she would just write it down. And then one day she said, you should write a children's book. And I'm like, I never thought about that. She said, well, I basically have all the stuff for you. She sent me the information. I'm like, what? Where do you get all that from? She's like, when you talk, this is how you talk. You're such a motivational person, and kids need to understand that. Like, if you can be successful in football, you're damn sure to be successful in school. Yeah. When I was, and my dad was like the guy who always tried to make me understand that I could be whatever I wanted to be. He told me, and I said this in the book, at 5 years old, my dad made one comment to me, and I heard something that Kobe said, and I'll say that too. He said, you're Mitchell, you can do anything. And no lie, still today, I'm 54 years old. I still dream and work like that. I listened to Kobe Bryant on a little thing that he had said today. It's a little clip out there. He said when he was 10, 11 years old, he played a whole summer of basketball in his camp. and he didn't score 1 point.
Wow.
And he says, Dad told me, he said, I don't care if you score 60 or 100. I'm going to always love you. And he said what that did for him, that released the pressure. And then now he could just go to work and start doing things that we know. And then as Kobe, he said in the end of the day, say, to hell with scoring 0, I'm going to score 60. And you see how hard he worked and what he became. So it's just having the adult person that you have in your life that you care about, that you want to make happy, you want to impress. When they show you that level of support, there's nothing that can stop you at that point.
Yeah, I live by the Mamba mentality. He was my favorite player growing up, and I used to watch him a lot. And rest in peace, just devastating about what happened to him and his daughter. And you're a girl's dad too, and how tough is
3
that?
of them.
Wow. How tough is that? And then obviously now you got to cherish every moment with your daughter. So
yeah, I don't think it was necessarily tough. Like my son is the oldest; he's 34. My oldest daughter is 28, who's a football nut. She was actually the assistant, assistant like GM of football at IMG Academy down in Florida at one point. Now she's working for SeatGeek. My middle daughter works for the NFLPA, and my baby now is in school majoring down in Old Dominion. So they all love sports, you know, because like I was telling my co-host on radio, I came in work one day and I said, man, you wouldn't believe it, man. I said, I sat there on Thursday Night Football and my daughter was there ready to watch football with me, man. It's cool as hell to be able to sit there and talk to them about sports. And they are around the business of sports. You know, like everyone, like my son at 12 years old told me he wouldn't play football anymore. And I said, why? He said, well, Dad, I want to be an architect. They want me to be Brian Mitchell. A 12-year-old with that mindset, you have to follow him. Now he's an engineer and he works for Cruise. It's a self-driving car company out in San Francisco. So I had to I pushed them to what they wanted to do, not what I did and what I would think I want them to do. And that's the way you're going to have people that's going to be successful. When they go out and do the things that they are truly attracted to and the things that they are passionate about, then you don't have to worry about them failing at anything.
Wow. Yeah, so we'll take one more fan question. One of our fans wants to know who's your, outside of the Washington running backs, they want to know who's your favorite running back to watch now.
I love watching Saquon, but I would tell you the favorite running back I love watching right now is 2 guys, and they're similar. Pollard in Dallas, and the kid Pacheco, in Kansas City. Yeah. Dude, I mean, they get rid of Tyreek Hill, and then this dude comes along, and sometimes I'll have to double take because I'm like, damn, he runs just like Tyreek. Tyreek wore 11, he wears number 10. But it's amazing how, for me, Andy Reid always seems to find him. Like, you know, people ask me questions about my coaches. I love Joe Gibbs. Andy Reid's right behind him, man, because those guys, they know how. Andy, 60-something, almost 70 years old, and still is as innovative as any young play caller in this league. So, but those 2 guys I truly love watching because they can do it all. And I stated earlier already, Brian Robinson is definitely one of those guys as well.
Yeah, Isaiah, speaking of Pacheco, I live in Jersey, so he's a local kid here from Rutgers. So I used to watch him a lot when he was at Rutgers. And actually, with our company we cover Rutgers. So we got the opportunity to see him in person play. And this guy is going to be a heck of a player.
The dude can play, man.
Yeah, this guy is going to be good.
But it shows you, he wasn't no super high draft pick. Yeah. But when you can play, you can play.
Yeah. So a couple more things before we let you go. And what are your thoughts? Tell our fans, what are your thoughts on this year's team, Washington Commanders? And obviously they're above 500. This whole NFC East is obviously above 500. And talk about Tyler Heineke, man. This guy can ball.
Well, the thing about it, I think this team started off the season trying to force feed a system. And then they got to the point where they had to play what works for the talent that they had. Taylor Heineke, I think he motivates the team. I don't know if he's a better quarterback than Carson Wentz or not. It's just that the team responds to him better. And I think that right there is a lot. You know, as a quarterback, if you can't motivate your team and you can't get the guys to follow what you're doing, that's a waste of time. So he does that. So now you look at the fact, his stats have not been spectacular, but they're 5-1-1 with him. They were 2-4 with Carson Wentz. So you have to put some love into that. And I think he does a good job. But the defense now is playing better. The running game has come along. The offensive line now, they had 2 guys early in the season that were hurt that were playing. Now those guys are healthy. Trey Turner's hurt again. But the offensive line together is playing better, which makes it look like it's because of the quarterback. But I think overall the whole team got better, and they believe in each other. You know, I don't know if they're as good as the other teams completely, but I think the Washington and the Giants are very close. Yeah. When that game came on the other day, you looked at them at halftime. They both had 162 yards, and everything else was within one digit of each other, which means that you're an equally balanced team. So then they finished 20-20. So they're as close as it comes.
Yeah, what was your thoughts when they tied the game? And obviously, Graham Cano missed the field goal. But what was your thoughts on the tie game yesterday?
I just think the NFL got to find a way to where nobody ties. You know, you're a pro player now. When the game is over, it should be a winner or a loser. You know, point blank. That's just the way I look at it. I know there's some games where you say, man, I wish everybody could have won the game, but we're not kids. We're adults. And you know what? If we stop teaching everybody from when you had it, oh, you got to get a trophy, you got to be a winner. BS. That's not real life. Real life is sometimes you lose. And what you do, you go to work to make sure next time you don't. But if you tell everybody they got to be a winner, then that's a problem. I believe that they should play the game until somebody wins.
Yeah, so before we get to the last two things, where do you think Odell Beckham Jr. will sign? And who do you got tonight, Saints or Buccaneers?
I'm looking at Odell Beckham, and I've been hearing a lot about Dallas, but Von Miller, when he said, well, he's going to come to Buffalo, he might end up in Buffalo. It's one of those two things. Oh, wow. That's what I believe. Tonight, you know, it's kind of hard for me to go against Tom Brady, and especially when he has Todd Bowles as head coach, which my former teammate, and Byron Leftwich, my little bro. So, you know, I'm going with them tonight. I'm from Louisiana. I've never been a Saints fan, ever been a Saints fan. When I was young, people wore bags over their heads. Kind of hard to cheer for a team they call the Aints. But I have to go with Tampa. They're in Tampa. So it's kind of hard to go against them while at home.
Wow. Yeah, so the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. Obviously, you know him, former NFL coach, and now he's coaching at Grambling State University. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, make sure community stay safe and the kids stay safe, everybody stay safe. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
All right, cool.
The last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the center workers right now?
Well, I'll tell you, man, nurses, doctors, essential workers, everybody out there, you know, I say we thank you for all that you do, because a lot of times that could be a thankless job. You know, nobody sees the work that you go through. I had a daughter who was premature and was in the hospital for a long time. Actually, my wife had a water broke at 19 weeks. She was on bed rest till 29 weeks. Then my daughter was born, and I had to be in that hospital, go to work, get to the hospital, and you watch the work that the nurses and the doctors do. I watch work that police officers do, you know, firemen and everybody that's doing the things that basically, you know, they show up, they do a job, and they leave. You know, I think we should do everything we can for them and people in the military the same way, because those are the people that are doing things above and beyond to make sure that we can go out there and live these easier lives that we live. So I say kudos, God bless you all. And if anybody out there, if you're in the position to help, make sure you always help any cause that help out the essential workers.
Yeah, well said there. And there you have it. I let you close it out. Super Bowl champion Brian Mitchell from Washington Redskins, Washington football team, Washington Commanders, also played for the Eagles and Giants, man. This guy had, like I said, heck of a career. He should be in the Hall of Fame, like one of our fans said, and I'm hoping it happens for him. But go check out his book, The Champion's Heart, and where can our fans find you on social media, and what do you guys have coming up next?
On social media, you can find me on Twitter at BMitchLive MBCS. You can find me on Instagram at BMitch30. And Brian Mitchell on Facebook and also LinkedIn. I'm on all those things. I put a lot of motivational things out on BMitch30, which is my website. So find me anywhere there.
So there you have it. Thank you for joining the show. Hopefully we can have you back on down the line so you can meet the full team. But keep up the great work, man. Good luck to the Washington the rest of the season, and enjoy tonight's game.
All right. Take care, brother. Have a good time.
Thank you.